Friday to spend it here, and I think I'm dressed in my casual wear. Well, you are decked in your
it's
beautiful
Friday.
suit. But yeah, this is the first time that we do such a video interview, and we got to meet in part of my networking. So we met in a gala, and you were dressed in a beautiful suit. I was like, okay, I need to reach out to that gent here. And we got talking, but I wanted to know more about you, Jay.
Yeah. Well, again, I came here on a 5-year experiment, and that was 10 years ago. And it's been quite a ride ever since. And I think part of what I do is, as an architect, it takes so long in our industry to build something. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor. And Ottawa's come to grow on me, and I really start to love it. And now that I have a family, it's perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, what are you working on right now?
One of the things we're really passionate about here is affordable housing. And so we're actively working with several developers to help build affordable housing. We have a mantra at the office that, great design isn't more expensive, it's just better thought out. And so we think that great design should be accessible to everyone, including all income brackets. And so that's one of the things we're actively working on right now, is trying to bring sort of our style and our presence to the city, right? And leave a mark.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So speaking of style, so you're a man of style and you're an architect as well. So tell us more about your style and how you incorporate that into your work as well.
Well, it started a while back. Actually, one of the things, I was looking for a suit, and I just happened to stumble across a young guy who was sort of my age, and I thought to myself, I can't really afford the suit, but he gave me a chance. And in exchange, one of the things that ended up happening was in exchange for doing a suit, I said, oh, you know what, your store is so, it's great, but it doesn't have a presence. So what I started doing, and when I was young, is like I would trade design services for suits. And so that guy ends up becoming Mike Nguyen from Garrison Bespoke. And so that's sort of the reason I have this epic collection of suits.
Yes.
Because early on, he would need a refresh, I would help do his place, and he would trade me for suits. And that helped build that collection over time, right? And no doubt also some time spending in Italy, right? The Europeans will have a really great sense of style, and I was in there in grad school, and I sort of noticed they carried themselves differently. And I think that's where that idea of like carrying yourself like a pro was really important to me. And so I think that I'd like to carry that into our professional world too, in the world of design.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
Beautiful. So you mentioned Garrison Bespoke. So for the people who don't know, Garrison is Toronto-based to tailor. And is it true that Harvey Specter in suits?
Yes. Yeah.
Because
that's right.
The iconic
peak lapel with the single breast.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mike designed the suits for suits.
Yes.
That's been great, and he's been really fabulous. He has also done the bulletproof suit, and I think he's just changed the way style's been done in Toronto. And I really love. It's great that we still have a relationship and we can still chat. And when I need stuff, the measurements are still there, so it's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're wearing today, then. So is that?
Yeah. So we have a window pane suit with from Garrison, Lorenzo Piana fabric, and so it's a single-breasted notched lapels, and it's just a fun, more casual suit, I guess.
Yeah.
It's with a pattern, the big window panes like yours,
Yes.
right? And I just find it very light and easy to wear. Blue's always going to go with everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Blue is my go-to color.
And perhaps so, yeah.
So growing up, who influenced your style, and who kind of had an impact on who you are today?
Well, I grew up in 90s, early 2000s, right? And back in those days, grunge was really big. And so if you saw me those days, you catch me in like baggy clothes, flannels, messy hair. But at the same time, I was going to graduate school. And my uncle, who was an engineer and the only professional in our family, literally just pulls me aside and says, if you're going to be a pro, you need to start acting and dressing like a pro. And he had always looked like Cary Grant. Like, he fell out, his suits were always impeccable, his tailoring was impeccable, and it really struck me because I had always respected him. And when he told me that, it changed my life. It sort of, from that day on, I stopped wearing jeans. I never wore jeans to the office. I started wearing jackets, getting things tailored, and it really changed the way I carried myself. And I think that was really important because that helped establish me in the career that I'm going towards, right? Because I think a lot of young guys out there, right? You got to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I think that he was really inspirational in me shifting gears and getting out of that. Otherwise, you might still see me in flannels right now.
I know. I think
Yeah.
we've all been in those clothes.
Yeah.
I remember my first suit that I bought was 2 sizes
Oh, absolutely.
bigger than what I wear now, and
Yeah.
just because I didn't know how to dress, but I think having someone like that as an icon is great.
Yeah, well, he set me straight, right? And then, meeting Mike at Garrison, he helped refine the clothing collection. And, once you've got those staples in your wardrobe, then you can start building and you can have more fun with some of the other fabrics and the other liners and things like that and really express your style.
Yeah, it's a learning process.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have to build it. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And so, but, it does build over time and it allows you to show your personality after a while. Yeah.
Do you find you're having an impact on the generation that's younger than you right now in terms of how you show up as a mid-career professional?
Well, so in addition to running the architecture practice, we have this coffee shop, but in addition to that, I also teach at Carleton, right? So I teach in the School of Architecture, and I do notice some, like over the period of time that I start teaching the students, some of them who are really inspired and know what they want, they start changing, right? So I have students who just show up in sweatpants, but then I started noticing some students who are really serious. They're coming dressed for class, right? They're wearing jackets and they're wearing suits, or they're coming for their final presentations and they're carrying themselves and matching. And so that, for me, that's a good sign, right?
Yes.
They're ready for the next step because they're treating themselves like professionals. And I think that's really critical for the young guys coming up.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it does definitely how we should show up really impact how we want to be seen. And again, you kind of dress for the job that you want to be in.
Yeah.
So that's really impactful. So style icons. So we're going to talk about style icons, but also architectural icons, because you've got
Absolutely.
these two hats.
Yeah.
So now and before, who are your icons in style and in architecture?
Right. Well, stylistically, I think less is more, and that's just also an architectural icon. But when I think about as I'm building a wardrobe, I often ask myself, like, would James Bond wear that? And so I think what he does, the stylistic even through the decades, right? It's refined, it's simple, it's clean, and no matter what era, it's always going to look good. And I think that's when I think about my professional wardrobe, that's where I'm going to go. When it comes down to like more casual clothes, I think David Beckham's a really great example. He seems to have a lot of stuff, but at the same time, you can pare it down to jeans and a t-shirt, and that's going to be good on the weekend.
Yes.
Right? So I really hold those guys in pretty high regard, and when I think about what I'm going to do, nothing extravagant. You're not going to see me, do anything too crazy. So I think that staying in that lane allows you to be creative in other areas.
Yes.
Right? I think the outside is one thing, and then you can express yourself on the inside a different way.
Yeah. David Beckham stands out for me as he dresses his age.
Right.
And so as he aged, he really his style has changed, but he also managed to pivot and become kind of an icon.
Right.
He's a brand by
Absolutely.
not just a footballer and that's it.
Right.
He quit. No, he managed to kind of evolve with that.
Absolutely.
And so you can tell his style, his fashion, like when he went from the Mohawks and
shaved his head. Yep.
And now he is more mature and refined.
Absolutely.
So I like that about him. Architects. Who's your architect? I'm putting you on the spot. I love some architects, and I want to know who's your icon.
So early on, we do a lot of contemporary stuff here, and that's a function of the fact that it's a bit more economical to build. There are some classic guys like Mies van der Rohe who will establish a pure level of modernism, but then in more contemporary areas, I love the guys who are really pushing the envelope to try to do something new. So whether it's Frank Gehry when he's using very sophisticated computer modeling to do these organic forms. There are some other architects maybe not so well established like Morphosis, or we have Zaha Hadid, who can really push the envelope. And so I look to those guys because they've been able to convince the public that being a bit dangerous, trying new things is the way to go. And I think that's part of the ethos we're going to try here in Ottawa. We're very safe, and 25/8 architecture and design is really pushing the envelope and trying to break away from that. So I think I take a lot of inspiration from those guys, more in their attitude than even with their architecture.
Beautiful. So what's the story behind 25/8 architecture? I want to know the name and the
Yeah.
story.
So after graduate school, a couple buddies and I, this is in 2007, we, just for kicks, we were all working professionally. We said, let's enter a competition, an international competition. So we entered a competition to design emergency housing for the city of New York. 3 guys, after hours, doing stuff, and wouldn't you know it, we end up winning the competition. And so the New York calls us and says, hey, congratulations, you guys won. We need to send you a check. What's the name of your company so we can write the check? And the 3 of us were just fresh out of grad school. We don't have a name, but in graduate school, we used to work very hard late at night. And our classmates used to say, you guys are always working 25/8, 25 hours, 8 days a week. Yeah. And so we said, okay, quick, let's get a company together. We called ourselves 25/8 Research and Design, and that's how it started, right? We won a competition. We had a few $1,000. We used that to buy our first website, a few first computers, and we just built from there. And then eventually, as things grew, I came to Ottawa. I opened an office here, and we established 25/8 Architecture and Urban Design, which is our main construction-focused building, working with developers, working with clients like that to do the real architecture. So we have a research and design armature, which focuses on some theoretical, conceptual stuff that we do. And then we have 25/8 Architecture and Urban Design that focuses on the building side and designing the city.
Beautiful story.
Yeah.
So many hats as well. You know, like you've got your office and a coffee shop and kind of like a workshop in a way.
Well, yeah. So we actually call this place the shop because it is part coffee shop and part workshop. So we have a coffee shop because a couple years ago we were looking for an office and we couldn't find one that was creative enough, and we ended up finding this old garage attached to some guy's house just a couple streets down on the Breton Street. But the garage had been zoned for commercial, so we said, well, it's good enough for, garage is good enough for Amazon, it's good enough for Apple, it's going to be good enough for architecture. Nice. Yeah. So we moved into this garage, but the garage had like this full collection of commercial kitchen equipment. I guess the owner had been a caterer, and so, you know, we're working in this garage, but it has a full commercial kitchen, so we said, you know what, why don't we open a coffee shop? If people come, great. If not, who cares? It doesn't matter. And then that's where the 5 to 8 Creative Coffee Collective comes in. So it's a sort of play on the 25/8.
Yes.
And what do you know? Like the coffee shop becomes its own thing, and now we have this coffee shop and architecture firm. So if you come here during the week, you'll see some people work on computers, and there's a good chance they're actually architects. So this is our office. So some people work at other coffee shops, Starbucks. Our staff just work here. Right? And then we can just use our wall space to sort of show off what we do.
It's beautiful. And so you also teach as well at universities, so you definitely interact with a lot of the younger generation.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for the younger generation who are going into their profession and to their professional life?
I think for me it's really about trying to separate yourself from the grade, right? Like I think really it's about learning and also failing, but failing in a way that allows you to learn. So be less concerned about the A and be more focused on learning what you're supposed to learn, right? Experiencing. Try stuff. If you fail, it's better to fail at school than it is to fail in an office, right? And so I try to encourage the students, experiment, do as crazy things as you want because this is the time to learn. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. No one's gonna die, right? But that's your chance to experiment. I want students to really feel like they can do that and not be afraid because no one cares about what grades I got in school, right? They only care what we're doing now. And so I want people to really recognize that, as students to recognize that as they move to the next level.
I agree. I mean, I'm in healthcare, so definitely far from architecture, but the best lessons that we had in university and during education are the mistakes that we made when we were learning.
Absolutely.
Because these are the ones that kind of like, I will not do it again, or it's something that absolutely not.
Well, you learn not to touch the boiling pot when you burn your hand.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
And so I try to make sure that whether it's the students at school or my kids at home, right? I want to celebrate those failures. I want to celebrate the fact that you tried something, and as long as you don't do it twice, then you've learned, right? Absolutely. And that's the valuable thing.
Absolutely.
So, whether it's a financial mistake, whether it's a design mistake, I'm okay with that as long as it only happens once.
Yes.
right? I think
Beautiful
that's the key.
thoughts.
Because I think, it's so easy to be pigeonholed into one lane.
Yeah.
But when the kids realize they can do anything,
Yeah.
I think that's the real power, especially for us as we're maturing and we've seen more things. Like it's about giving to the next generation now, right?
I think at an older age as well, when you start to learn something new. Like
Yeah.
for me now, my passion is learning about architecture. It's just because I just love looking at architecture. So learning about Neutra, Van der Meer.
Yeah.
Just learning about who they are, how
Right.
they were, the inspiration they had.
Yeah.
And how they touched the lives that we had. Like for me, it's beautiful.
Well, I think where I like architecture, to be honest, is it affects everyone on a daily basis, right? If you live in a house, if you go to work, you're in architecture, right? But I think what separates architecture from just a building is really about the underlying message, right? Can you see there's another story behind there that's deeper? And I think that's how you're going to tell great architecture from just a building, right? And so like if you look at all the projects that we do, we try to make a story behind it, and there's always going to be something deeper. And I think that's why people enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Not only everyone knows it, but they know they know there's something different about it. And I think that's where we're trying to really push that on our side.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that is unscripted because I have a few questions.
Oh, yeah,
that are
sure.
scripted, and I thought, okay, style and architecture.
Yeah.
So if you were to design a building,
Yeah.
and that building will be named, something like Armani,
Right.
Tom Ford. Like
Yeah.
What designer would resemble your style, your in building? Who would that be?
Oh, Miyazaki, probably. Like, there are a lot of geometry there, and we think a lot of our buildings have a lot of origami-like things. What's interesting is as you can see, we do a lot of models here, and one of our beliefs is that if you can build it in out of paper, you can build it in real life. So you'll often see us playing around with things, folding paper, gluing things together, and if it works there, it's going to work in real life. And so, what I love about that kind of fashion is that there's a lot of folded patterns and structure, and for me that's like you can fold it, you can do something small scale and it's structural and it can be expanded into something larger. So that would be a great commission to be able to do one for Miyake. Yeah,
that would be beautiful. Yeah, I can just imagine it.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun. Do you think Ottawa is ready for that?
Maybe in 20 years or so, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of smart businesses here, a lot of smart entrepreneurs, people who want to challenge status quo, and I think we don't go after everyone, right? Our clientele is the half of 1% that really want to push things and do something different, right? We jokingly say we put the fun in function, but I think there are a handful of really fabulous people here who want to try something different, and those are people that we want to go after. We want to collaborate with them because they have a creativity that they can express in a larger form, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we can do to help. Yeah.
That would be beautiful to see. So part of what I'm doing with Off the Cuff is trying to incorporate my health background with wellness, and style is definitely one of those.
Right.
But also feeling good inside and out. So, what is your looking after yourself routine, your self-care routine? How does that look like?
It's interesting you say that. So a couple of years ago, I went through a big life change, and then so I changed my life too. And one of the things that I really emphasize is that I cannot control when my day ends. I can only control how my day begins. So one of the things I started doing is I started waking up at 4 a.m. And one of the reasons I decided to do that is that allows me to control my morning, right? No one else is awake. I can have my own time. So it starts off with 4 a.m. wake up, meditation, right? Being really grateful for the things that I have received and that I'm not awake for another day to really pursue something awesome. Right after that, it's some water, a shot of espresso, and then you get the day going. And once the day goes, it's about an hour, 2 hours of work, so I can get ahead of the day. No one's asking me questions. I can just focus on work. And then it's a workout, because once the workout happens, I know the toughest part of my day is done, right? So once the workout's done, then I come into the office, and the day is just chaotic from there on in, right? I think every professional can sort of appreciate that. And I don't know how the day's gonna end. So like last night, we were at a great networking event. Goes out late, but still wake up 4 a.m. in the morning, because you can control that. And then how the night goes, only time will tell, right?
So you are 1 hour before the 5 a.m. club, like the Robin Sharma.
Yes, yeah.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
But you're 1 hour ahead of that.
Well, yeah, there's a few guys out there that do that, right? Because you need to get ahead of everyone else, and that's the only time that it's quiet, right? I have kids, and they get up pretty early, but if I can get up before them, I know I have quiet time, and I know the moment I walk into this office every day, my time is meant for the clients, my staff, right? So if I need to do work, that's the only time I get to do it. And by the end of the day, pens down, I'm with the family, kids. That's where I'm focused. So that's the only way. 4 a.m. I'm telling you, the 4 a.m. club. Once you start there, no going back.
Good for you. I mean, I'm in my mid-40s now, and I still think I am in my mid-20s. So I still want to kind of go out and spend the late night, but I know the next morning I will not enjoy it.
Well,
so waking up at 4.
Do you know what the best part of that is? On the weekends, I sleep in, right? But sleeping in means waking up at 6:30 a.m. And that's 2 hours more. It feels glorious. But at 6:30 a.m., you still have a ton of the day ahead of you, and you can crush it. And I think that I don't like waking up early, but I can't stay up late. So it's a lesser of two evils. And I think so. I started doing that because I used to swim varsity in university, and those early mornings really got me ahead of the game. And I realized if I can be ahead of everyone else, then it's a lot easier to be in the lead than it is to be trying to catch up all the time.
I agree with you. Yes, definitely. You control how you start your day, and that's something that I mean, for me in healthcare, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
My end of day is unpredictable,
right,
and unscripted.
Right.
Yeah. So, but how you start it is very important.
Right. So what's your start morning routine?
I wake up around 5:30.
Okay.
So 5:30 is kind of like that's the really kind of my time that I could get 7 hours of sleep.
Okay.
It's a quiet time. I have 2 kids, and so part of that is really trying to get ahead of them before they wake up.
Right.
So I meditate.
Yep. Perfect.
I can't exercise in the morning. I'm not. For me, I use it as a quiet time. My go-to book in the morning is the Daily Stoic.
Oh, holiday.
Yeah, so nowadays the Daily Stoic, just read, reflect about what I read. It's powerful, the messages from Marcus Aurelius and Stoics
meditations,
resonate with what we have right now. And I prepare the kids' lunches. I look at my schedule for the day, just to make sure, again, I get ahead of it as well. And so that would be kind of my morning routine. I try to get a workout 2 days a week where I work later in the day, so that gets me kind of set for the day. And I can't sleep in. For me, sleeping in past 7 o'clock, even on a weekend, is just, no, I need to get up, I need to do something.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. No, I think the sunlight is the trigger. If the sun came up at 3 a.m. in the morning, I'd be up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't need sleep if I can see the sun.
Yes.
And so it's only like right now, we're in the middle of December right now.
Yeah.
It's tough to wake up.
I hear you. I hear you. And I lived in Saskatchewan for a number of years.
Oh my God.
And some days the sun wouldn't come out until 9 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah, that's brutal.
That is brutal.
That is brutal.
So the final question would be, if we were to interview a man as an icon or someone that you know or you recommend, someone with a style sense, who would that be and why?
I put a lot of thought to this, but I think Jagmeet Singh, he is a fellow Garrison style guy. I think politics aside, the guy carries himself well. He's the only politician I know who can pull off a 3-piece suit all the time.
That is true.
He carries himself, and it's okay. It's okay to carry yourself as a pro, and I think that is really telling, about the way he thinks. Like anyone who can put themselves together and wear a suit is actually thinking about what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to predict it. And I think for me, that's he would be a great person to connect with if you can.
Yeah, we'll try to get him next time he's in town. I don't know when he is, but I could totally see the Garrison, the peak lapels that he has.
Yeah,
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get on his email list and see if we can.
Perfect. Bring him in, man.
But this is great. I mean, I really enjoyed this. This is the first time that I do a video and interview. I've done kind of community talks, but it's more kind of, we'll do the questions and an interview format. But I think this is something that I enjoyed, and I enjoyed the space here and just the off the cuff.
Let's do it. Yeah, off the cuff. That's brilliant. Thank you for coming into the shop today and chatting. I can't wait to talk more about fashion and see if we can elevate this style in Ottawa together.
I think we have a mission.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah.
Cheers.